Today I'm going to be tying the Foxy Laser Minnow. I'm using a Gamakatsu B10S size 4 uni 6/0 white thread. Just putting a loose coating of wraps back to the bend. Then I'm going to put 030 lead, about 10 wraps up the shank. And break it off. Just clean up the back end, press it down with my thumbnail, tighten up the wraps. I'm going to hit that with a little bit of super glue. And then I'm going to go over it with my thread up forward and then back over to the rear of the hook, back to the bend of the beginning of the bend of the hook. And then the first part of the tail is white temple fox. I've taken some of the under fur out, but I've left some just to give it a little bit of taper. It's pretty fine material. And I'm just going to square off the end of that. Set it right at the end of the lead. Tie it down in good shape, back to the beginning of the bend of the hook. Next, I'm going to add some olive temple fox. Again, I've taken most of the guide hair out of this. I've left a little bit. And you want to measure that same length as the white. Again, I cut that off square. Set it right on top of the shank with a pinch wrap to keep it on top, right behind the lead. And then I wrap right back to the bend of the hook, keeping the olive on top. Next, I'm going to add one strand of lateral scale. This is the real thin, I think it's 1/69 of an inch, they call it. I'm going to put that right on top of the hook. Take a few wraps to tie it down. I'm going to separate them. I want one strand on each side of the fly. I want to run right down the center of the tail, kind of dividing the olive and white. Check, make sure you got it where you want it. A few extra wraps, tie that in good. Trim it off to the length of the tail. And now I'm going to add an anti-fouling guide. I'm using Hydro Clear Cure Goo Hydro. Make sure you get all the hair the way you want it, and you just touch it behind the bend of the hook a little bit, the first 1/4 inch or so. Just get a coat all around that. I use this because it's quick. You can also use super glue or anything you want. What that does is stiffens up the hair right behind the fly, right behind the bend of the hook. Keeps it from fouling. And if it should get tangled while you're fishing it, sometimes it does, especially if a fish gets a hold of it. Makes it easier to straighten it back out. Next, I'm going to take some Senyo's Laser Dub silver minnow body and dub it on the thread. I'm just going to tease it out of the package and get it started on the thread. kind of long strands, but it'll dub on and spin, wind up pretty good. You're going to start winding this right at the tail of the fly. Once you get it on there, you can tighten it up a little bit if it's too loose. And you want to wrap forward. I'm going to cover the lead. Wrap right up to the front of the lead. And you can tighten it as you go a little bit if you want to. Nothing too critical. This kind of imitates the intestines of the translucent bait fish. The next thing I'm going to add is some red Foxy Laser Dub, and I tease it out of the package to orient the strands. You don't want too much. A little this goes a long way. I want just a little bit more than that. Carefully lay it so that the strands are oriented in the same direction. I kind of roll it in my fingers, make a little noodle out of it, and I'll pull off any of the loose stuff on the end. And I'm going to take this noodle and lay it on the near side of the hook, right in the middle of the noodle. Take a pinch wrap, check, make sure you got equal lengths on each side, and you can anchor that down once you like it. Take the other half, bring it around the other side of the hook, lay that on the other side of the fly. Tighten it up. I use my comb a lot on these flies, just kind of getting the material where I want it, making sure it looks good. Next item I'm going to add is more Foxy Laser Dub, silver minnow button. I'm going to take about, usually it's about 3 pinches of this. I'm hanging onto it and making sure the strands get oriented. You don't want to pull too much at a time, it'll clump up on you. I'm going to take about 3 chunks of that. And again, I roll it together, make a noodle out of it. And I'm going to tie this on the bottom of the hook. You want to make sure that the end of it comes back beyond the bend of the hook where you tie it on. I'm going to put that right on top, or at the bottom I should say. And then I'm going to take my thumb, after I've taken a couple loose wraps, I'm going to spread that around. I want that to cover half the hook shank, even right up over the red for the gills a little bit if you can. Once you get it where you like it, take a tight wrap, pull the remaining portion back over, tease it in place, take a couple of wraps, just getting up on it enough to hold that in place. Again, you can take your comb, you can keep your red on the side, lightly comb it. You don't want to get too vigorous. You can pull it right out until we get it locked in good. But just comb it so you got everything where you like it. And then we're going to add the top of the head, which is going to be Foxy Laser Dub in olive. I'm going to tease out 3 more bunches of that. And again, I'm going to take it and make a noodle out of it. And you want to lay this on top of the hook and make sure it comes back and meet in with the olive on the back of the tail. So you can be tying it about 2/3 of the noodle probably over the back. Put that right on top. couple of loose wraps. Take my thumb, make sure that's wrapped down around a little bit, blends in with the rest of it. When you like it, make another wrap, and then pull the other half back over the top, tie that down, and again you can comb this out, get it all blended together. Make sure it's the way you like it. And then we're going to put on the head, which is a fish skull, fish mask number 5. That slides right on over the front of the hook. You want to put it on, you want to have a little bit of space left to put a thread dam after you glue it in place. And that looks good, so I can go ahead and tie off my thread. Just put a whip finish on there. And again, I'm going to use clear Cure Goo Hydro. Make sure you get all your hair where you like it now, because it's going to get locked in place. So if you want to do any little last minute combing just to blend it in. And you want to coat the thread and just a little bit of the dubbing where the head's going to go. You don't want to get too far back into the dubbing, but you want to get it coated good up around where this head is going on. Then you slide your fish mask on. Make sure it's straight. You could use super glue. I use Clear Cure because it's quick. Just hold it in place. Hit it with a light. It's a clear head. The light will go through there and set up the hydro underneath. Once that's set, I start my thread at the front of the hook and build a thread dam. You just build it up until you get enough thread there that's going to hold that head on. And you can whip finish that. Take any fuzz out. And I use super glue. Put a little dab in the eye sockets and the fish skull. Fish skull number 5 eyes for the number 5 head. Take them off the paper with my bodkin. Place them in the socket. Make sure they're centered. Squeeze them just a little bit, make sure they're set in there good. And then I take my Clear Cure Goo Hydro and I cover the eye sockets, help hold the eyes in, both sides, and then I hit the thread dam at the front. If you're using this before you hit it with the light, you want to go in there and clear the eye of the hook, because this stuff is really tough, and if you put it in the eye of the hook, you'll never get it out. You'll have to drill it out. Once you get that clear, you can set it. and give it one more final comb, make it look pretty in your box, and take it fishing. That's the Foxy Laser Minnow. Been a good pattern for me. Hope it works for you. Thanks for watching.